Howdy, my crafters, and welcome to kind of a unique idea, I guess. I don't know. I admit I haven't recorded in a while, so I might sound a little bored from time to time. Anyway, so what I was thinking was, what if you know how all those other YouTubers usually tell stories during their events of what they're doing and stuff like that, and I thought I could do that, but with me in a survival world. So while I'm surviving in my own personal survival world, I can randomly tell a different story each time. Granted, that means there probably won't be that many because unlike other people, my life is very boring, but you never know. So yeah. So if we want to talk about certain stories, I guess we could probably start with a very simple story of, I guess, maybe the time I got hit in the head by a ladder. I don't know how I'm gonna make this long enough to not feel like an over-exaggeration, but here goes nothing. So I guess the other day, just kidding, not the other day, this was years ago, but actually it was a pretty funny story if I actually think about it. You see, it was actually a event that happened back when I was in my younger days. I think I was about 5, 6, or 7. I don't know. It was when I used to live in this house back in Alabama. Not Alabama, Indiana. It was Indiana, not Alabama. I didn't live in Alabama for more than a year or two, so it definitely wasn't during that time. But basically, a simple bit of a story is, oh wow, I'm hungry. I need some food. Basically, the story, I guess I'll go through basic details and some strong ones too, so I don't know. So basically, I was a young and like obedient kid. Like, I always wanted to obey my parents. I never wanted to disobey. I was always the one who listened to the parents, was always the one who never tried to get in trouble. And that led to me, well, not being called a wuss or anything, just I didn't have any friends back when this happened, so yeah, my brothers would always just make a racket and I'd just be there. So yeah, it wasn't always the best, but I persevered and I never knew what would come along. So yeah, so what basically happened was, it was late at night. It was about, actually, it wasn't really late at night compared to now. It was about 9 o'clock or 6, or not 6, 8 o'clock, and we were all in our bedroom. Like, we all slept in the same room. There were 2 bunk beds, 1 for each of us. Now, in total, I had a pretty big family, with about 8 kids in my personal family total, not counting my extended family and stuff like that. But the thing was, unlike me, these kids loved to racket. Like, flipping crazy. They would racket like absolutely crazy. So you can imagine I being a obedient kid in literally a house full of crazy kids. It wasn't exactly a full-fledged, heartwarming life for me. But I lived with it, and I was sometimes like them, where I would be a lot more rowdy and energetic, but for the most part, I was a lot more tamed, I guess, but I don't know. So anyway, why are you on my crafting table? Get off. So basically, what happened that night was they were all super rowdy and super energetic, and I was just trying to go to bed. I was literally just trying to sleep. Like, I was literally like, can you all just go to bed already? I just want to sleep. And yeah, I was pretty grouchy. It wasn't a bad day by any means. I just wasn't in the mood for shenanigans that they always have late at night. And I was just chilling there. I was relaxing and was laying in bed, ready to go to sleep. My mom was outside the room shouting, "Hey kids, go to sleep!" And yeah, I obviously wanted to really go to sleep myself, so I just was laying there in bed. And of course, this didn't really work out in my favor, since while I was lying there in bed, I was just chilling there and relaxing. Like, eventually they'll calm down and eventually I'll get my sleep. Suddenly, I hear a creak, and then after that, suddenly I hear something tipping. I'm just leaning over my bed like, that's probably nothing. And then, out of nowhere, shablammo! I got nailed right in the face by the hook of a ladder that was connecting my other brother's bunk bed. And boy, oh boy, did it hurt like the heckins. It literally hurt like crazy. And I didn't know how to respond more than cry because, again, I was much younger when this happened. And it was kind of more immature at times. Like, I was like other people. If I got hurt, I'd cry. So yeah, life wasn't always the best for me, and that really hurt. My mother came rushing into the room wondering what the heck happened, and when they explained what happened, because I was mumbling and crying too much to explain, she ended up having to get a ice pack for my head, which surprisingly was only slightly injured. I was barely bleeding, which amazed even me compared to a bunch of the other injuries I had. And basically, I ended up having, due to my whole situation, I ended up sleeping on the couch that night, away from my brothers, so I would not get hurt again. Yeah, that was the ladder story. I actually still have a mark from when the ladder hit me. Like, a mark from when it hit me is still there on my eye, which I'm pointing at, but you guys and gals can't see it. But yeah, it hurt at the time. Now I just go back on it and think, wow, that hurt, but hey, life's life. So basically, let's talk about the next experience. About the time. I mean, I guess the next experience I'm gonna talk about, I think, will be about the time I fell off a trampoline and somehow never didn't get injured at all. So why not? Let's just tell that story too. Could be fun. So what happened with the whole trampoline incident was actually a lot more different. You see, back when we lived in, I'm not sure which state it was, or not state, which country, or I don't know. I'm not good with this stuff, but I'm not sure which one it was, but basically, my family had a trampoline at one point. We have one here where we live, which I'm not going to say out loud because I don't want people to pinpoint my location like some kind of military operation, but basically, it wasn't here. I think it was the last place we lived, which I think was Virginia, I guess. I don't know. I can't pinpoint everything down. But basically, what happened was we were all on the trampoline, and I kinda, while I was getting off because I was bored and I didn't want to keep playing after we were just chilling out, since they had some friends over, but I wasn't friends with any of them, so I obviously couldn't really relate to them too well. But they had some friends over, and I just didn't want to deal with everyone anymore, so I got off the trampoline, and right when I was getting off, my foot got caught on the springs. My foot got caught on the springs, and I fell headfirst onto the ground. And my vision was blurry. I had no idea what was going on. I was freaking out, like, oh my gosh, did I break my head? Ah! Because two of my family members did actually break their heads from much more severe incidents, but I somehow, when we got back inside, I thought maybe my head was cracked open or I was bleeding like crazy, but surprisingly, my head was completely intact. I don't know how it was, but it was not injured at all. It was completely intact, not hurt whatsoever. Well, besides my brain hurt, like I had a major headache, but other than that, I was fine. So it was a little confusing to me. Like, how did someone who fell headfirst onto a bunch of hard grass, it was grass, thankfully, but it hurt. How did I not get injured super heavily? It confuses me, but hey, I'm not disagreeing with free survival. So Yeah, I could see where there were some situations where that would probably be much worse, but I was not expecting it to be so easily ignorable. Why don't we just move on to one more story that happened to me right here in my, I think it's country. It's basically those two were just some things that happened in my childhood. There's actually one story that actually happened here that was about like a few months back. So the next and final story I think I'm gonna share for today has probably gotta be my story of how I jumped from a rail and failed horribly. So this happened during my years at school. It was not a major injury, but it definitely hurt in the long run. So I think the story I know what the story is. It's one of my few injuries that happened not too long ago. Not sure if it happened in 2019 or 2020, but I'm pretty sure it happened in 2019. So it's not gonna be that interesting to say it's from that short ago, but I don't know. So basically, 5th period had just ended and I was on my way to my final period, 6th period. It was actually, I think it was a odd day or even day, I don't know how they pronounce it. It's the days where we had certain periods certain days. Like normally I'd have lunch during 5th period, but on these special days I had lunch during 6th period because 5th period didn't exist. So I confused myself. So we were basically chilling in class, getting ready to go to lunch. And yeah, basically we were all chilling. We were waiting, and since the teacher didn't want to really teach us anything at that time, me and my friend Dylan actually were playing Sumo. No one knows really who he is. He's not a YouTuber or anything. He's probably just my best friend in real life. But yeah, so we were playing Uno, and then it was time to go, and I was completely full of energy. While we were on our way to the lunchroom, we have this rail that leads up to the classroom since all my classes are inside of the modules. I don't know what they're called. I don't know. They're just some kind of module thing, and basically I wanted to do something so full of energy, so I tried to pull one of those crazy radical stunts, man, dude type things where I went and jumped over the rail onto the ground, and boy did it fail. I not only managed to miss jump, but my foot got caught on a piece of the railing. Like I got caught on the rail, like hand holder thing, and as my foot gets caught, I fell back first onto the ground. I know that doesn't sound as painful, but I always wear a heavy coat. I don't know why, but I've always wear a heavy coat whenever I go outside to other places other than like walks during a few walks around my house. Other than those, I, for the most part, tended to always have a coat, and that coat actually provided support enough for me to not get terribly injured. I was surprisingly okay, and I still felt pretty good. Okay, so I sat through lunch, and basically, I was fine. Ow. Holy shoot! So, I was in the lunch period, and I felt fine. So basically, during this whole thing, I feel quite fine, and everything seems great, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm fine. I'm amazed how I didn't get injured during any of that. And then came the next morning. I awoke, ready to just live the day like any other, and then the pain hit. I suddenly could barely move. everything hurts, and yeah, my life felt like complete heck. So that was a few of my ridiculously painful memories, where I slightly got injured, but never entirely. I think there's only one time that ever actually happened. But I'll save that story for its own video. Like, this is where we're just gonna wrap it up. So, thank you everyone for tuning in to Story Time with JG Crafter, and no, that's not the name, I don't care. But anyway, so yeah, let me know if you want to see more of these story videos. I'm thinking of maybe just like doing these as a pastime, since they are actually fun to kind of share my own stories, since I love sharing my stories. Let me know if this is stuff you want to hear, and I guess I'll see you crafters and non-crafters around. Also, if you haven't yet, make sure to click that subscribe button and hit that bell for notifications so you don't have to miss any more of my gaming videos or these random story videos that I thought I'd put more effort into, but then realized I don't like editing. So, yeah. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all around. Bye!